Welcome to Discovery and welcome to another episode of Discovery. We have a massive discovery this week, a huge discovery. There has been some great black metal, some fantastic prog metal. We've even had some really good metalcore. Talking about metalcore, the first album I'm going to review on Discovery for this week is Erra, their self-titled album. Now, Erra released a self-titled album a few days ago, and you know what? I am pretty impressed with this LP. So Augment was such an awesome album overall, and it was released a few years ago, and I really did enjoy the proggy nature and also the djenty elements. So when they released a new album, I was pretty pumped, and I heard it and I thought this was a pretty solid LP nonetheless. You have Snowblood, which is very heavy and gritty. I love his vocals. His cleaner vocals are pretty good as well, although this doesn't take away from the heaviness of this album. You've got songs like The Visionary, which is pretty heavy as well, along with Gungrave, which I love that riff on Gungrave. There's some really nice guitar solos on this. This is a progressive metalcore album with just so many flourishing guitar moments. Really enjoyed the drumming, and overall it's a pretty tight and cohesive album by Erra. Although this is not one of Erra's best works, I'd still think that Augment is a hell of a lot better than this, but it's a lot better than the previous album in my opinion. So with Erra and the self-titled album, I will give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. So next up we're going to some black metal. It's Fuath and the album 2. This is an overall epic black metal album, you could say. Now the problem with this album is that there are a lot of repetitive factors. Yes, this is a really fun black metal album, but I just feel there are some overall themes that do repeat themselves. Take Vincent the Pyre and The Endless Winter have very interesting melodies that intertwine within your mind, although yes, there are some quite repetitive riffs, but the album works as a whole. This album is around about 42 minutes, running about 5 songs, and yeah, his vocals are actually pretty good. Really enjoy the vocals. Really like the drum tone on this as well. Production is pretty neat, although there are just a lot of repetitive factors on Fuath and the album too. There's nothing really much I can say about this album, to be honest. It's just a generic black metal album, I could say. It's a generic black metal album, but it's still a pretty good album nonetheless. It gets a 6 out of 10. Next up is a Funeral Doom album, Sepulcros, and the album Vazio. This is absolutely fantastic. I just love the mix of Funeral Doom and Death Doom, along with even death metal. Some really awesome elements. I just love the guitars, really love his vocals, how they are so atmospheric within the mix. The overall mixing on this album, the production is absolutely fantastic, and it's just one hell of a ride. This album runs for about 37 minutes. I just feel that, yeah, this is a very short Funeral Doom album, but there's just so much happening on this LP that, yes, that 37 minutes just runs wild, and before you know it, you're at the end of the journey, and you want to listen to this album over and over again. I love the song Involucro Oko along with Vazio, Hisatome. I just feel like the track listing should have been switched around a bit in my opinion, but overall this is a pretty solid album for what it is. For Sepulcros, Vazio, I will give this probably an 8 out of 10. Next up is one of my favorite albums of this month. It's Stortregn and the album Impermanence. Now, this album is absolutely fantastic. It is a technical death metal album, you could say, with some prog elements, with just so many different odd time signatures, so many different elements or surprises. There are some great vocals on this. Love his harsh aggressive vocals. He also incorporates some guttural vocals as well. To me, Impermanence is just one song. It's just one song because each track bleeds onto each other so damn well. I absolutely love Ghosts of the Past, Moon, Sun, Stars bleeds on so well, along with Cosmos Eaters. Then you got Permanence, that instrumental that leads onto Grand Nexian Abyss. I just love the guitar solos on this, the embellished guitars. Yes, this is an extreme metal album, but it's got some really beautiful moments. Timeless Splendor, Nini, such great songs overall. Yeah, I'm gonna call this a song because it just feels like one whole song. Yeah, Impermanence Stortregn is one of my favorite albums of this month. It gets a solid 8.5 out of 10. Next up is Poor Stanley, Now and Then. I did hear this album and I thought this was an absolute fantastic cover album by Poor Stanley. Paul Stanley's last album was Live to Win, and yes, he had some amazing gems on this, but you know what? Paul Stanley decided to change things up, especially on this album, and just do cover songs. You got songs like I Do, I Oh I, Ooh Baby Baby, and then you got songs like You Are Everything. Just classic songs, are reimagined songs. Yes, it's a soulful, funky album with some orchestral moments. I love the choir in the background. There's just so many good songs on this album. I think this is a fantastic cover album by Paul Stanley. You Are Everything is on this as well. Just so many good songs, so many classics. Reimagined songs by classic artists. You're Just My Imagination is on this. So yeah, Paul Stanley has absolutely nailed this cover album in my opinion. I thought this was fantastic. It's great car music in my opinion. The customers that jump into my car were having a blast as we were listening to this album. But for Paul Stanley, Now and Then, it gets a solid 8 out of 10. Next up is Midnight Odyssey, Biolume Part 2 to Golden Orb. Part 1 was absolutely fantastic and they decided to release Part 2. And you know what? It is a very interesting album overall. This is an epic album, you could say, with some symphonic, epic, orchestral moments. It's a majestic album nonetheless. The first song, Dawnbringer, is over 20 minutes long. I love the clean vocals that are incorporated throughout the mix. This really reminds me of bands like The Summoning, you could say, or even at times like Dimmu Borgir, especially when they incorporate some more black metal elements. There are a lot of doomy elements on this album. You can go from blissful and beautiful moments just to harsh and batshit crazy moments on this album. The vocals are really good. I just love how epic and majestic this album is. But for Midnight Odyssey, Biolume Part 2, it's going to get a 7.5 out of 10. Next up is Acid Mammoth and the album Caravan. This album is really good. It is addictive. I love the riffs. In case you don't know, this is a doom sludge band, and wow, the riffs on this are absolutely fantastic. Reminds me a bit like Black Sabbath, especially something out of Master of Reality, or even God Rhythm, the album they released last year. I love the sludgy riffs. I really love the vocals as well. This is a stoner doom metal band with just so many flavors on these songs. Love Berserker, Psychedelic Wasteland, and even Caravan Black Dust. Each song is warranted on this album, and I absolutely fucking love how this album stretches about 40 minutes, but it doesn't feel like 40 minutes. It just feels like a 20-minute album. But yeah, this album catches your attention. It catches your attention, and you want to listen to this LP over and over again. For Acid Mammoth and the album Caravan, I will give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Next up is Krajiny, Hmly and the album Poza, Cierne, Hory. This is the black metal album. Nothing really much I can say about this album. It's fun. It runs around 40 minutes. It's just a fun album. I really enjoy the vocals. I really love the guitar work on this. Love the riffs. Really enjoy the drumming. Love how intense the drumming gets. There's nothing really much I can say about this album, to be honest. There are 9 songs within the 40-minute mark. It's just a straightforward black metal album. It's okay, but overall, there's nothing really special about this album, in my opinion. Nothing really special. Track 9 is fantastic, along with also track 6. Love the guitar work on that. For Krajiny, Hmly, probably going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. There you are, guys. Those are the albums I discovered over the past week. So now let's do a new segment called Upcoming Anticipated Albums. And you know what? I have been definitely listening to upcoming albums. I've been listening to the singles and some albums that have really caught my attention. First of all, let's stay away from one album in particular. It's As Everything Unfolds, and the album within each lies the other. I just feel this is a pretty generic album, generic metal album. You have a woman vocalist, yeah, her vocals are okay, but her harsh aggressive vocals at times don't fit within the actual songs in my opinion. It's okay, you could say. It reminds me of bands like In This Moment and even maybe New Year's Day. There's nothing really exciting about this LP that will be released on the 26th of March. I will probably check out Within Each Lies the Other and put it on Discovery next week. Next up is Evanescence, The Bitter Truth. And you know what? I'm looking forward to this album. A lot of people aren't really looking forward to it. am digging every single single that they have released. They've released about 5 singles now, and each song is really good. I like most of their stuff, and I really enjoy Evanescence. I am a fan of Evanescence, probably provide an album ranking in the near future for Evanescence once The Bitter Truth comes out. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Evanescence, The Bitter Truth, and it comes out next week on the 26th of March. Next up is Sanguisugabogg, whatever you want to fucking call it, Tortured Whole. This will be released on the 26th of March. This is a brutal death metal album, and you know what? It is a pretty brutal death metal album. Nothing much I can say. Really enjoy the riffs. The lyrics are pretty comedic, pretty comical as well. Definitely check out Dick Fillet, the actual lyrics. It's a interesting brutal death metal album that is released on the 26th of March. Next up is Phlebotomized, Pain Resistance Suffering. Definitely check out their single GPS. It releases on the 9th of April. You know what? I'm pretty excited about this album. This is going to be a pretty quick album, 24 minutes apparently. But you know what? The technicality on this, the guitar work, the vocals, are absolutely fucking fantastic. Really am enjoying the GPS single. Next up is Arion, Vultures Die Alone, which we also released on the 9th of April. Pretty good power metal band, you could say. Incorporate elements of heavy metal, love the guitar work, really enjoy the solos. There are some harsh aggressive vocals on this album, especially on one of the singles. So I am looking forward to this LP, and it will be released in a few weeks. Next up is Devil Holy Soul Loss. This will also be released on the 9th of April. Some good moments on this, although I just can't get use of his vocals. His vocals are going to take a long time for me to get used to. They do sound a bit whiny, but when he incorporates those harsh, aggressive vocals, hell yeah, the songs kick ass. In case you don't know, they are a prog, hardcore, post-metal band, you could say. Incorporate elements of metalcore. Some really good songs off their latest album. But yeah, Loss is going to be a pretty good release in my opinion. Next up is Purgatory, Lawless to Grave, which will also be released on the 9th of April. Some good moments on this. If there's a genre, it's like new death metal. There are some strong elements of death metal, but also some new metal as well. I just love the overall flows. They have released a few songs off this album, but you know what? This is going to be a pretty fun album nonetheless. It's going to be a unique album, a unique death metal album. Purgatory, Lawless to Grave. I'm really looking forward to it. So next up is a metalcore band I'm really looking forward to. It's While She Sleeps and the album Sleep Society. Solid songs so far. Really love the guitarist, love the vocals as well. His cleaner vocals are pretty good, love the harsh aggressive vocals. We'll definitely have to check out more of their discography because I'm really liking this album so far. They've released 3 singles. Definitely check out While She Sleeps, Sleep Society if you like metalcore. Next up is Alustrium, A Monument to Silence, which will be released on the 18th of June. We've got a fair while to wait, but the new song, This Hollow Ache, is absolutely fucking fantastic. It's prog death metal, you could say. Really love the guitar. I love how intense his vocals are. Yeah, so definitely keep your eyes on A Monument to Silence by Alustrium. Alustrium, if that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, this will be released in June sometime. And finally, probably Mental Cruelty and the album A Hill to Die Upon. This album is going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. I really enjoyed Inferius. In case you don't know, Mental Cruelty are a deathcore band, and they incorporate some symphonic elements very similar to bands like Brand of Sacrifice, except in my opinion, Mental Cruelty is slightly better. But I just really enjoy the overall tone of this new song, Ultima Hypocritica. Love his vocals. Lucas' vocals on this are absolutely fantastic. Definitely check out Mental Cruelty, A Hill to Die Upon if you like deathcore. And yeah, I hope you did enjoy this brand new segment of upcoming album releases. Every single episode I will be giving you some new album releases for you to check out in the upcoming months. Hope you did enjoy Discovery for this week. Comment below what albums you're gonna check out. Gonna check out some black metal, prog metal, metalcore, some really good albums that I've discovered this week. Drop a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I will see you on the next Discovery.